Okay, so I'm going to ask this question again because I forgot to record. We have a shape, and we want to prove, is it a rectangle, is it a rhombus, or is it a square? So we looked at diagonals yesterday, and what was special about the diagonals of a rectangle, Andrew?
Diagonals bisect. Just making sure that the person hearing this could hear.
That wasn't awkward at all.
Not at all.
But now, question. All parallelograms, the diagonals bisect each other. What was special about a rectangle?
It's an angle bisector.
Rectangle diagonals are congruent.
The diagonals in a rectangle are congruent.
Can I answer this one?
So could we, wait, what did you draw? Did anybody draw
I drew I just found the distance.
K to M?
Yes.
So what's the distance
5.
from K to M? What?
8.
I did the distances of the sides.
Oh,
So it's rhombus. Also,
okay.
I'm not
Here,
doing actually.
Okay, so I like this 8 units. Because from here to here is 3, and then from here to here is 5. You could do the distance formula if you really felt like it, or you can just count the squares. Okay, what about the distance from L to N? L to N is 6 units. Are the diagonals congruent? Does 8 equal 6?
No.
The diagonals are not congruent. So it means it's not a rectangle. Diagonals not congruent. Therefore, it's not a rectangle. What else could we do with the diagonals about a rhombus? What about you know?
Perpendicular.
They're perpendicular. How can we tell if LN and KM are perpendicular?
Well, they cross.
Other than looking at them and they cross. What do you know about perpendicular things?
They meet at a point 6 at 90 degrees.
They intersect at 90 degrees. Okay. What else? I don't know any angles here.
They meet at a
Okay. Any two lines that cross meet at a point. They what?
Since you can know the sides. Since I found them all.
You found all the links. You can do the distance formula 4 times.
Yeah, that's what it is.
That's what Sydney did. That is, you can do that.
Bullshit.
But we've got diagonals, and we know that if the diagonals are perpendicular, then it's a rhombus. So how can we tell if 2 lines are perpendicular?
You measure the angles on the inner.
They meet at the opposite reciprocal.
The what is opposite reciprocal?
Slope.
The slopes are opposite reciprocals. What do you know about the slope of K to M?
1. That means 0.
Let's say it rises how many? 0. It runs. We're going to say 8. So we're going to say that slope is 0. Now the big question is what's opposite and reciprocal? Okay? That is,
Undivided.
so what's the slope of
Okay, that makes sense.
LN?
6 divided by 0.
6 divided by 0 is undefined. Somewhere in a theorem, when we talk about perpendicular slopes, it talks about vertical lines. So vertical lines and horizontal lines are perpendicular. They will have a slope of 0 and undefined. Okay? So we can say diagonals are perpendicular. So KLMN is a what?
Rhombus.
Oh my God. We could have just all done what Sydney did at the beginning and found the distance formula of all 4 sides. That was a lot of work. No, because they all turned out to
Yeah, they all
3, 4, 5 triangles. That was special. That was nice. Okay, can we go on?
Wait, did you grade our tests?
I did. Can we see? Wait a minute. Oh no. Well, just a second.
Well, who's this recording for?
Ellen is not here and Lily is not here. And they both asked to be recorded for.
Hello, girls.
Alright. If you want to see, I'm reading a problem on page 346, and it's letter E. Okay. So letter E, this is probably the most applicable of this, and they will bring this problem back 18 more times. I don't know, a lot more. A building is made with a rhombus-shaped courtyard. If the longer diagonal walkway is 50 feet and the shorter one is 40 feet, what is the perimeter of the courtyard? So we start with a rhombus, and it tells us the longer diagonal was how many feet? It told us the walkway. There's a walkway between each
50.
piece, okay? The shorter diagonal was 40 feet. And it asks you to find the perimeter. You know it's a rhombus, so you know every side is the same. Can we find the perimeter or a side length of this courtyard? What do you think? What are you going to do?
I'll look out to that courtyard.
That courtyard's more of a rectangle than another.
Yeah.
This is a rhombus.
Or a diamond.
Diamond is just a square. Turn on this side.
It's a kite.
It's a rhombus. Alright, so everybody got a plan for what you're going to do for this?
Let me attempt.
Okay, what's the first thing you're going to think of, Lorenzo?
I'm thinking dividing 50 into two sides.
So it's a parallelogram, right?
Yeah.
So is this side equal to this side?
Yes.
So each one of those sides is
25.
25. What else?
40.
Are you going to divide 40 into a 20 and a 20? We know it's a rhombus, so therefore this is a right angle. So can you find the hypotenuse? Here.
Yes.
Yes, you can. So you have what? 20 squared plus 25 squared equals c squared. And then it says, what's the perimeter of the courtyard to the nearest foot? You're all plugging things in.
Actually, no, I
What do we round it up to?
It says, round to the nearest foot. And do I take points off if you round incorrectly?
Yes.
Yes, I do. Because you should know. You're at that point where you need to know.
Are we on the area or the perimeter?
No. What is the perimeter
Wait,
of this rhombus?
around the perimeter to the nearest foot?
Oh boy.
It didn't say round the side length to the nearest foot. It said round the perimeter.
Okay.
Okay. What you get, Landry?
I got 32 feet.
Is that the perimeter?
I think so. It's the answer to that
No.
equation.
No.
Wrong.
Are you kidding me? No.
Is the answer to this 32?
Right.
So maybe 32 times 4?
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
So maybe our answer is
128.
128 feet.
My bad.
Alright. Alright, so we're moving on, but to more triangles. This is not really more triangles. It's kind of triangles, but we're moving on. Lesson 53. Lesson 53 is something I make assumptions and some of you remember that you know, some of you don't. But it has been on our last test. If I have I'm not even going to say anything else. Can you solve for the hypotenuse?
Yes.
What are you going to do?
Well, it's
You take the side length of one of those, because they're both equal, and you do put it on the square root of 2.
Okay, can you tell me what type? Can you classify this triangle by sides and
Isosceles right triangle.
Very good. It is isosceles.
Wow.
Thank you.
And it is right. So by sides and by angles. Okay? There is something very special about right isosceles triangles. Okay? The hypotenuse will always be the side length times the square root of 2. Always.
So you
And forever. Do what?
pick any side length.
Pick a number, Lorenzo.
13.
13. This is
That's
13. That's 13. Guess what the hypotenuse is? 13
Yes, ma'am.
on the square root of 2. Now, we could go to the Pythagorean theorem and prove that. We could.
But
We don't have to. Okay?
There's no point.
13, 13, 13 on the square root of 2. Coach King gave you a triangle, and he put an X here and an X here, and it was always X on the square root of 2. Yes? Whatever the side length. I don't usually put X's. This triangle right here, I draw no less than 100 times in tree. It's a huge, big, major part of our triangle. 45 degrees. Okay? You know enough about sine, cosine, tangent, sine, so opposite of hypotenuse. Sine 45, we can find the values. Okay? I'm going to throw something harder at you.
Negative 45.
You can't have a triangle with negative 45.
Okay,
Because you can't have negative side lengths, you can't have negative angle. Well, I'm going to take that back. You can have negative 45 degrees, but not in a triangle. Oh, okay, I'm going to start nice. Can I start and be nice to you?
You can be nice to us however you want. I love that.
What is X?
5.
How did you get that?
Well, there's
Because
right,
it's right there.
right angle, and both of them are X. They're not X, X, or like X squared, or like 2 times X. They're both X.
I remember
X is
doing that.
equal to X. So, according to that logical theorems of calculation, that would be
I want a new problem, Landry.
But if you do not know how you got 5 here, you're not going to be able to find why.
yeah.
So I'm going to ask you again. Landry can sum up his explanation and say, how did you get X equals 5?
Because 5 is on square root of 2.
So give me another thing. How,
Their x's are congruent.
okay. How did you go from,
Because there's 2 x's, so 5 would have to be on square root of 2.
Could you like reverse the Pythagorean theorem? You do 5 on the square root of 2 squared times x squared plus x squared.
You can't do that because you only have one part of it.
okay, you very much can do that.
I know.
How?
I know. I got it.
X's are the same. X squared plus X squared equals 5 on the square root of 2.
Both legs are congruent.
So this is 2x squared
Oh.
times, yes, divide by 2 and take the square root. So x squared equals 5 on the square root of 2 divided by 2. You take the square root of all that. Yeah, it really. Stop. What did I not do? I'm like, wait, that's not
You
working
didn't
out.
square.
I didn't square c squared.
Which is 50.
Square that. So when I take the square root, that's 25 times 4, 5 times 4
50
times 2 over 2. Those cancel. X equals the square root of 25. X equals 5. Now, would I suggest doing that?
No.
No.
Probably some
But it's a
sort of
way.
way.
Like I explained.
It is a way you can do it.
There's an easier way. Though.
There is a much easier way. Okay.
The length of the hypotenuse is the length of the leg multiplied by.
So, okay, the leg times the square root of 2 equals the hypotenuse. Can we say that? So, now, use your physics skills to rearrange an equation to solve for the leg. How are you going to get the leg by itself? What?
Divide by the square root of 2.
Divide by the square root of 2.
Oh, but you can't have square root of 2 in the
Whoa,
denominator.
wait, just a second. Here, it works out nice because 5 square root of 2 divided by square root of 2 is simply 5. Yes? So, how do we get a length of a leg if we have the hypotenuse? Take the hypotenuse,
Divide by the square root of 2.
divide by the square root of 2.
So that's what I try to do.
Okay, good. So, y times the square root of 2 equals 8. If I'm setting up an equation, the length of the side times the square root of 2 equals 8. No, I do not want decimals.
You want fraction form?
No,
You want
Thanks.
8.
this is y equals 8 divided by the square root of 2. Now, you told me something. What can you not have in the denominator?
Square root of 2.
Square root. So how do you get it out? How do you
Multiply it.
rationalize?
The top and the bottom. Just like that.
So it's 8 on square root 2.
In investigation. Okay, so what happens?
Whoa.
8. What's 8 times the square root of 2?
8 on square root 2.
divided by 2.
Okay. Can you reduce?
Yes, before.
8 divided by 2 is 4 times the square root of 2. Y equals 4
So
on
can
the
you just
square root of
divide the hypotenuse divide by 2 and then put on square root of 2?
That's so good. Same
Technically.
answer.
2. Decimal wise, you have to. They have to be equivalent. Landry, why do they have to be equivalent? What is the square root of 2 divided by the square root of 2?
It's the same thing.
What's the square root of 2 divided by the square root of 2?
It's 1.
It's 1. All you did was multiply something by 1. It must be the same. Okay.
And why do you have to go through that to get 4 on the square root of 2? Oh, never mind. You got a good thing on top. Alright.
You cannot have irrational numbers in the denominator. So you must rationalize.
I have another question.
Yes.
How'd you get rid of the 2 on the denominator?
What's the square root of 2 times the square root of 2? 2. That's how we got rid of it. We're going to do another one. Watch this. And I'll have less things on the board. And I'll still be somewhat nice and give you a 10. Yes, ma'am.
I already know the answer.
Okay.
Yeah.
What if I ask to see your process? Okay, so if you're going to go ahead and know that.
Divide by 2 and put on the square root of 2. No.
And there may be
Divide
an
by
answer.
2.
No.
5 on the square root of 2. Oh, you changed it 13.
I did change it. So we all knew that last one's 5 on the square root of 2.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm changing it. Obviously, you didn't need an easier problem. You needed a harder problem. So x times the square root of 2 equals 13.
Got it.
Don't pick your calculator up.
Done.
I do not want a calculator. Okay, so we're dividing by the square root of 2, so x equals 13 divided by the square root of 2. I need you to be able to rationalize.
Yeah, but then I need to have a calculator.
For what? You don't know the square root of 2 times the square root of 2 or 13?
Yeah,
No.
but I don't know 13 on the square root of 2.
I don't want you to know it.
Okay, well I don't know 6.5 on the
I don't want you to know it.
So what do we do after that?
What do we do after that? That's what x equals,
She has
right?
one decimal.
Can we leave an irrational number in the denominator?
No.
No, we must rationalize, meaning we're going to multiply it by what?
2. Square root of 2.
Square root of 2 over the square root of 2. That didn't work out. So we're just multiplying it by 1. So what is 13 times the square root of 2?
13 on the square root of 2.
Over 2.
Square root of 2. All it is.
2
Square root of 2 times square root of 2.
equals 2.
And that
Guess what x equals?
Oh, so you didn't want like it.
I do not want a decimal.
So you cannot get rid of that 2 anymore.
Basically.
And she doesn't want
But you got rid of it on the last problem.
Because it was an even number. Okay?
No.
Now, there will be a time when your book says round to the nearest law. Then you stop right here, you plug it in your calculator. If it says round, that's what you do.
Okay.
Okay? And you're done. Applying it. Application. There's a park construction. A square park is to be fenced around the perimeter of with a snow fence for an upcoming outdoor concert. There's a diagonal path that is 430 feet long through the park. So what's that length?
430.
What kind of shape did we start with?
A square.
A square. Okay? A square. A lot of times, why do we need the diagonal?
Because it makes 2 triangles.
If it's a square, it will make 2 congruent right isosceles triangles if it's a square. Okay? Diagonals are wonderful. What do they tell you about that diagonal?
430 feet.
What is the perimeter of this park? How much fencing do I need? They didn't ask what is the perimeter. They asked how much fencing. So they put an application on it. Meaning, how far is it around? Why am I in that weird color?
That is a good question.
How far is it around? So I need to know
Like the
What?
circumference of the square.
is the perimeter. So can you find the side length?
Sorry, I'm
Yes, it is the circumference of a square.
We just do what we just did.
You're gonna do what we just did.
Oh no.
No, I'm going to need to calculate for this one.
You don't what? You can't do
430
430 divided by 2. 4 divided by 2?
square root 2
2.
divided by
What's
2.
30 divided by 2?
15.
So is it 215?
15.
Whoa, stop it.
I'm not done.
I would like for you
Right.
to use your brain
Yeah, but
more
so
than
do
your
you
I'm
want
calculator.
it?
on fire today.
But do you want it? Do you still want it on the square root of 2?
No.
They give me 430 on the square root of 2 divided by 2. Or 215 on the square root of 2 is a side length.
430.
Okay?
Okay.
But
I
how
just
much
never
fence?
done
Of 2.
That's what they
divided
want.
by 2.
Now I'm going to ask you a question. Are you going to go to Home Depot or to Lowe's, whatever is your preferred place, and ask for fencing for
No.
860
60.
on the square root of 2 feet of fencing? They're going to look at you like you're crazy. Right?
No, but how did you get X?
X times the square root of 2
Right.
equals 430.
Yes.
Okay? So I divided by the square root of 2. Yes?
Yes.
When I rationalize square root of 2 over the square root of 2,
430 on square root of 2 divided by 2.
yes.
I put in my calculator, and I got 304. And then a bunch of decimals.
I guarantee you, if you plug in, all that we did is reduce this
Don't put it in
to
the
215 on the square root of 2. Okay?
There.
But they eventually do want a decimal. Because how much fencing do you need? What is this number, that same decimal that you just got, times 4?
Want him to answer it.
Do what?
Want him to answer it.
I don't care who gives me an answer.
Wait, and question again.
I said, how much fencing do I need to go and get? Meaning, this is 215 on the square root of 2. What's the distance all the way around? And I need a decimal because you're not going to go to Home Depot and use the square root.
1216.22
What?
feet.
1,216.22 square feet.
Yes.
Okay.
Square
Are you going? Or no, it's not
Feet.
square. Sorry,
It's feet.
it's just feet.
But-
Okay. Would you have enough if you just got 216
No, you need
feet?
every decimal.
No, so 2, 2, 3.
Would you just
6,
round
6.
that up?
Well, they said
Yeah.
approximately across the board.
0.223. 0.224. Yeah, 0.224. Well,
So, are we
16,
gonna know
0.224.
when to get rid of on the square root of 2?
When it asks you,
Bingo, brother.
how much snow fence is required? And sometimes, okay, like every problem in this lesson wants a square root. Until it says letter C, to the nearest tenth of an inch. To the nearest mile. And then at one point in time they asked for the area. Could you find the area
Yes.
of this shape?
215 square root 2 times 215.
Can I ask you a question? Can you multiply 215 on the square root of 2 times 215 on the square root of 2?
Yes.
Like without 215 times 215, but without square roots.
Yes, you get 92,450.
Square root of 2 times square root of 2 is simply 2. Right? Because you can combine these pieces.
I don't like that. Where did you get carrots? Why can't you just multiply?
It's okay. It will come out.
92,450.
Yeah, it'll come out the same. I just need to know, do you know when you can multiply square roots? What's the square root of 3 times the square root of 5?
Yes.
Do you know that's the square root of 15?
Yes.
What's the square root of 3 plus the square root of 5?
Square
That's
root
it.
of 3
Square root
plus
3 plus
square
square root
root of 5.
Okay. You cannot combine when they're added. They're multiplied, you can multiply them together. Okay?
It's like when you got unequal denominators when you're trying to multiply. No, when you're trying to add.
Yes. That is true. And you can't get common denominators.
Right. It's just impossible.
Remember test now?
What? Do I have a few minutes to spare at the end? Get it?
You have exactly 6 minutes.
6 minutes? Do we need to do something else?
No.
Outside.
Right
It's like
after
a
I
6
get
minutes
my
to
C
do that.
test back instead of a family test.
Alright. Zach, I still have not got your finished test. So I did not grade it. So I probably need to take these up, or you have time today to finish it.
You didn't like my connected dot thing?
Because it said test. I'm like, yes, it was test number 10.
No. What'd you make? What'd you make?
I'm scared.
I told you I felt good about this one. You did really
Dadgummit.
What'd you make?
I'm not
And I
telling
did
you
not.
no.
Miss Evans, I got 16 right. You put okay.
I was very gracious on number 16 if you tried.
What'd you get? I was close. I almost had
I
all
just don't know how to do the first.
What? What's prism?
What'd you get?
What is a prism?
I don't know. That's what I'm asking.
You got 81? 91.
Miss Evans house.
I calculated which ones I knew I'd get wrong.
Somebody told me they were going to make an 85. Who was that?
Oh, that was me. I got an 83. I was close.
Oh, I got the same thing.
Miss Evans.
Okay, on number 18, you didn't tell us we had to do the coordinates for the 2 when we did the practice.
And what is a geometric mean?
That's really good number 2, just like
Tell me, can you tell me?
I have no clue.
What?
Wait, can I see
That's
this?
not a mean.
It's a this.
Oh.
And I even told you.
Hey, we got the same grade.
This is a prism. Yes?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't think, but I would get it.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. Can I come in? What time do you get to school?
What?
What time do you get to school?
I think it's school pretty early.
Can I come in and we can run out of time?
Monday? Yes. I sure can. Alright, back. Zach Mackin, you're going to the home office.
What?
Miss Evans. Were you just gracious?
I was beyond gracious.
Yeah, because you just said okay. I was
Yes.
What'd you get?
Did you get 8 right?
If you tried number 6 and number 16, I was pretty gracious.
Yeah, you only marked one for my 6.
Yeah.
I contradicted myself.
Yes. Many of you.
Right.
I gave good effort.
You didn't mark anything on my 6.
Alright, what's
Remember, I told you I was
13?
gonna do them all.
I know I missed something on this.
13. What's the range?
Everyone want to see my
I don't
16?
know.
You
That's
add
smart
them?
wrong.
And you subtract them.
That's what I did.
Then how did 8 minus 5 is what?
It's
8 minus 5.
The symbols need to be
We made the same
No,
grade.
it's
Yeah, I know.
20.
That's what I said.
I didn't hear.
But you fucking
This is my best geometry test.
Eight.
I want to end on
I'm
9.
rubbing. Yes, it is. Oh my gosh.
You got 8 plus 2.
I'm such a retard.
No, but you're 8.
I got an 8. I do
Oh,
better
the
than
cold 3
I
greater
can't
than
say
what
what
you
you
get.
get.
Yeah,
I can't say this.
Wait, what
Oh, I love that. It's
It
so
doodles
cool.
so
Where's
well.
my
It doodles so
Is
much.
it yours? Seriously?
Yes.
Wait,
Or
where
is
did
it
you
me?
get?
And somebody asked me.
I did the law on
in
class.
class. When we were going over
She
it.
can't get
And I
it.
said,
I would have told her.
What is
Okay, well, if I had $1 in my bag, I'm
I remember
gonna
taking yes.
85.
Right.
Brother, it's so nice. That looks
Alright, I'm just gonna make an assumption if you put these away, I won't,
Oh yeah, they're in my binder.
cause Zach wasn't finished his.
So you might want to take mine away.
I was thinking of it.
Like, shut it. I don't even say
Well, it's a-
I didn't study the last test. A-hole.
Word.
Yeah.
And then
Nope.
I know I
What did it say?
It's not like I didn't listen that far.
But did you get 16?
You guys,
Really?
did you get time? Did you get, it really should have been.
Yeah, all
I'm
me.
missing several players.
You're
Six
trying to see.
right.
Did you get 6 times the square root?
Oh, I only got
Yeah.
minus 1.
So
Square root
it's
is
six.
So the square root is 56.
Yeah, she did.
Did you
Wait,
get 16 right?
Sydney, I
No,
was-
I want to hear you.
On your article,
Yeah, okay, you tell me one of them.
We're talking about our course line.
I read it
Tell me
last
one.
night.
That's not
You said y'all already guaranteed yourself playing on games.
And the angle similar triangle similarity.
Thank you.
Let's say you lose tonight.
And then this.
Yeah, are you loud?
Yeah.
Like, we have 3 more games, no matter what.
Are you going to?
But
I'm
But
taking
it's
this
say we
one.
keep winning, like, if we went to 9 tomorrow night, that gives us the
Hey, but I
bye.
still stayed pretty low.
But if you lose all 3.
If we-
Do you need this back?
If we
No.
lose all
I
the
mean,
next
if everybody's
three,
like dies or something. What do you
Say-
think?
say-
Like, if you lose the next 2,
we still have 1 more game, we can still get the state, but it'll just be harder.
you just play top.
Like, yeah, we'll just be playing the top teams and like basically come from the bottom up instead of staying at the top and playing the bottom teams.
if you lose tonight, you're not out. I know that.
But it's making it easier. We need to win because it makes it easier for us to get the state.
And you'll have a home game.
Yeah, and we'll host 2 more home games.
2 more.
Yeah, one of them we won't be playing in, but we'll be hosting the game.
Oh.
So it'll just be money for us.
Oh.
But then we'll host the home game next Friday for sub-state.
So which one did y'all lose last year? The
We
Sunset
won.
game?
We lost this game. This game is what started it, and then we won
Didn't get back to
tomorrow's
the top.
game. Yeah, but then we lost the sub-state game because like we were coming from the bottom.
Yeah,
You were
'cause
like,
you
you
lost
were like at the bottom.
that one at
number
Webb.
1 seed.
Yeah.
Alright. Oh, I'm still recording. I'm sorry, ladies,
Yeah, no,
if
we
you're
can
still
talk.
watching.
Hey, Lily.
They've stopped watching by now.